starting the summer season tomorrow. But Matt, it feels like we've already been in summer for months at this point.
I tell you what, even May was hot, and last week was a little bit cooler in June just because of the extra showers and thunderstorms, but now we're right back in the heat. Now, because summer begins tomorrow, we wanted to give you a recap on how spring was, and to be honest, take a look at the whole year. We're almost halfway through 2023. Pretty crazy, right? But rainfall, let's talk about that first. When you look at the overall picture for 2023, it doesn't look too bad on its surface. So in Fayetteville, we actually have a surplus, just over a quarter-inch surplus. And the River Valley and Fort Smith, we're a little bit over an inch. But when you talk about the full year, that's not crazy bad. You know, that's not too insane. However, the numbers kind of lie to us a little bit because you have to look at which months did we pick up the rainfall. We've actually had a decent amount of rainfall in northwest Arkansas. The problem, though, is that most of it took place for the first half of spring, right there in March and into early April. Once we got past about mid-April, things really slowed down for us. And same story in the River Valley. You know, we picked up 12 inches. We actually got more rainfall in the River Valley this spring than in northwest Arkansas. But then you kind of just shut off the faucet for the rest of this year unless you got a straight pop-up the past couple of months. And sometimes those pop-ups really help us out, but only for a few folks while the rest of us are just high and dry. But it's been a wet spring just months and months ago. We've been in a dry pocket for the past several weeks. And so the U.S. Drought Monitor, they went ahead and put us in abnormally dry conditions. We're not in a drought, but it's kind of dry. We'll have another update coming up later this week from a lot of farmers as they send those reports into the Drought Mitigation Center. And so we'll get an update on this map. And we had some rainfall this weekend. That helped. But we'll take a closer look because this is our last hurrah in terms of rainfall. Once you get into July and August, things really shut down, and then we start to dry out. Let's talk about tornadoes now. For spring, we picked up, well, ever since the start of the year, 51 tornadoes in Oklahoma, 24 tornadoes in Arkansas. Now, specifically in 5 Country, we've only had 2 tornadoes this severe weather season. We're lucky. Normally, we get about 6 to 7 tornadoes for March, April, May, put them together and into early June. We've only had 2. The first one we had was in early April. That was in eastern Madison County. And then we had that EF2 tornado, the strongest one for 5 Country, just this past weekend. Once again, that's Logan County. And we still have some of those power outages, but just like Rachel was talking about, we've got big improvements, so that is good news, especially with this heat. But lots of sunshine out there. High pressure is locked in place, keeping us very warm. We're going to have a warm evening ahead of us. Temperatures slowly fall into the 80s overnight tonight and eventually to the 60s by the time you're waking up tomorrow morning. But it's going to be toasty for your Wednesday for the first day of summer. Highs well into the 90s. It will feel like it's sometimes above 100, though, in terms of that heat index. And we could have a few high clouds in the morning tomorrow, but they'll fade away, and that just means more heat and more humidity. And when you're looking at that heat index forecast, we're going to be flirting with 100-degree readings the next several days. This weekend will get a little bit warmer. We have some isolated storm chances, but only 30% for Saturday and Sunday. So, Alexander, the rain chances are slim. And we were just looking at the rainfall totals. We haven't had a lot the past couple of weeks, honestly, the past month and a half, and now we're headed to our dry season. So if we don't get some now, we're not getting some for a while.
Oh, we might need that rain. All right.
Use it.
Thank you, Matt.
This time last year, the hype was real. Nick Smith Jr. was a consensus top 10 pick in NBA mock drafts across the country. That was before he even